Today I have an inlay die cut background, hand coloured. Hi, it's Therese and Lostinpaper, and I thought I'd just walk you through an inlay die cut background. It's using this whimsical garden layering die set, and it's a fun set because you actually get the outline, so you can have like a solid image of the floral sprig and it also has like an outline version. So I thought I'd be using the outline version today and sort of piece together a whole background for an A2 size card. So I have got a piece of Nina 80-pound cardstock because I'm going to be doing some alcohol marker colouring, and I find that it's much easier on the lighter weight cardstock. It doesn't soak up as much ink and is faster for me to colour, although why I thought this would be an easy process, I don't know. But I will explain some easier options along the way. So what I kind of did here was hold my die cut in place on the A2 cardstock and actually cut the image out 3 times. And I did actually use this Nina cardstock to die cut the outline and get all my pieces to put together. And I'm making sure that I keep every single piece out of the panel so that I can relay it all back together again and in the colours that I want. And you may notice there's no colour here yet. That's because I'm going to be doing the alcohol marker colouring and actually creating the pieces myself. A much easier way to do this would have been to die cut coloured cardstock and then piece it all together. But then I would have had to cut it 4 times. So a white, a blue, a rouge and a green for the leaves. So that I would suggest would be a much easier way to create this, but I had fun and I like colouring, so although I did have to top up my marker here, my biggest tip is to check that you have the right topper, like the right refill, that's what I want to say, and the correct marker. Then I do take both caps off each end of the pen and I use some tweezers to remove the brush tip end, and I just work over like a rag on top of my workspace just in case it does pour through or drip on my cutting mat, and then drop about 8 or 10 drops into the well of the pen, and then I can just slip the end back in. You can buy new brush ends for these pens as well, which is great to know, but I've never had to change any as yet. But it did go much quicker after I topped up my pen. The thing with colouring such a large area is to go slow. I did come back in and colour on a different angle as well, just kept relaying colour over top, and I'd wait for it to dry because it is going to look a little bit streaky while it's wet, and things that you're noticing while you're colouring aren't necessarily going to be noticeable once it's dry. The big section in the middle I did ruin a little bit because it was when my marker was dry and it didn't colour up so well, but I did think about coming in and adding some dots or splatters, and that would have been a great saving grace. Or I could have used some colourless blender, like a colourless blender pen, to add some texture as well. But in the end I added my sentiment over top, and you'll see that in just a minute. So I will list all the colours that I've used today over at my blog, and this is part of a release hop for the standalone dies at Altenews. So if you head to my blog and you're here in April 2021, you can have a chance to win if you comment over there. All the details are at the blog. And I only used the 3 colours for the colouring. I didn't add any shading. I wanted this to be quite a subtle sort of background. I have a piece of the double-sided adhesive paper from Altenews, and I just took the release paper away, added it to the front of an A2 card front, which was made out of a card base, which was made out of a 110-pound card weight, and then I just could simply come in and lay my panel over top. The other way that you could create this card, which might have been easier in some ways, was to initially cut my pieces out of the A2, but then do my flowers on a separate piece of Nina. You could actually colour the card stock before you do the die cutting, or you could colour it afterwards like I did. But then you wouldn't have to worry so much about how the pieces relayed back together. And the process is really simple from here on in. Basically, I just put everything back together like a jigsaw puzzle piece. If I had have done the whole flower images on a separate piece of Nina, I would have just let the edges hang off the cut, like the card base, and then just cut them away with a pair of scissors. And tweezers were my friend here, because they are fairly fiddly and small, some of these little pieces, and having that double-sided adhesive paper at the back made it really easy. You could also use a dot runner in the background as well, or even liquid glue would work as well. I do think that using coloured cardstock would have been a lot quicker, but this way I got exactly the colours that I wanted. The other way that you could do this is not to use the inlay die cut technique. You could actually just put a plain piece of coloured cardstock on the background, die cut the solid image out of one colour if you want, or you can add colour just to that, and then you can cut the outline image and adhere that over top, and then just place these around the background. It would be slightly raised up where you've added the flowers, but that would be really pretty as well. Right, the sentiment I've chosen is going to cover that centre portion of the card that I wasn't as happy with the colouring, and I've got the fancy for you, and I did lay this up on about 4 layers of white cardstock because it is a very intricate die cut and I didn't want it to get squashed in the mail. So I hope you've enjoyed today's card and got some tips along the way. Thanks so much for joining me here. I look forward to seeing you at my blog. If you liked the video, please click on the thumbs up button, and if you haven't already, it'd be awesome if you could subscribe to my channel. I look forward to seeing you here next time. Till then, happy paper crafting. Bye.